What's good, y'all? Kailin here. This is a short video I want to do. I'm just talking about Batman v Superman because I just saw it this past weekend. I got out of the theater and I saw some reviews, talked to some friends of mine just to kind of see what everybody else thought. Because prior to seeing the film, I heard a lot of bad things about it, a lot of really poor reviews. But the opinions were very mixed. Some people thought it was okay, some people thought it was even good, some people thought it was like just terrible. So I kind of went into the movie expecting a not so great film, and I feel like that kind of affected my experience of the film. I went into it already expecting the catastrophe, and so I've been watching a couple reviews and reading people's thoughts on it, and I don't know, right now I think I'm gonna have to see it again before I really get my solid opinion. But as for right now, I think it is a very messy film. It's a very messy movie. But I think there are a lot of different situations and reasons why the film didn't do that great. For one, you can tell the studio is really trying to please everybody. And I think that's where it really suffers, to be honest. Because between just trying to please everybody and trying to launch this Justice League franchise, I think that's where they really suffer, because so many of the issues of the movie are because they're trying to just load so many different things into it to please all of these fans and set the stage for like the Justice League installments that are to come soon. I think when it sways from the conflict that it's meant to focus on, that's when it really suffers, because the movie's called Batman vs Superman, and there's so many things going on, and by the end of the movie, I'll be honest, and this is not really a spoiler, we know they fight, but the fight is like, the movie's this long, the fight's like that, like a little sliver, and it's really overshadowed by the final battle of the movie, which, if you've seen any of the trailers, if you've seen, there's a specific trailer I'm talking about, if you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. That battle really just overshadows the other one, and there are problems there too, CGI, all that crap. I don't know if people are giving the movie the credit it deserves for the things it did right. I didn't think the story was I thought the story was jumbled. Like I said, there's so many things they're trying to do. They're trying to establish Batman. This is a different Batman than the Nolan films. It's an older Batman, a more mature Batman. And so it's necessary for them to reintroduce the character. I like that. And I was okay with the title sequence that had, you know, the origin story of Batman really quickly. I thought it was really cool. I didn't have any problems with that. It did feel a little overly dramatic, but it did, at the same time, it really did pay tribute to The Dark Knight Returns. And there are a lot of examples of scenes and artwork that's based off of The Dark Knight Returns. And so, being a Dark Knight Returns fan, I was really pleased to see that they did that. But then again, it goes right back to what I said before. They're trying to please the crowd so much. There's a scene, I can't say it because it's a spoiler, but there's a scene where basically they're like showcasing the Justice League, and the way they handle that scene, I swear I felt like Zack Snyder was like sitting next to me, just like, what do you think, man? You see that? You see him? You see her? You see that? It's like, dude, come on, man. It's so out of it doesn't have anything to do with the story whatsoever, really. Like, it's just kind of like they take a break from all the things that are happening just to put in this little nugget for the fans, and it really comes off as really forced, and they're just trying to really pump people up for the Justice League. Another thing I didn't like was Jesse Eisenberg. I will say this, his performance wasn't terrible. A lot of people are saying he did a terrible job. He wasn't even acting. I won't go that far. I think a lot of it's the writing, if people have problems with that. I think he did a very good job, like, with that, you know, really psychotic, conflicted, definitely has some psychological issues kind of villain. My problem, and this is what kept me from liking him as a character and thinking he did a great job, it's not Lex Luthor. And I feel like the studio, I don't know what the heck happened with the casting process when they got him to be that, because he's just not. And I'm like, dude, this is your chance to, like, get this dude right. Like, you have everything. You got Ben Affleck as Batman, who killed it, by the way. Actually, that was one of the best parts of the film to me, was when Ben Affleck was playing Batman, and he made a solid Batman. There were some issues with Batman I didn't like as much, and I'll get into that maybe later if I make another video, but he was definitely the best part. Like I said, the setup for Batman was cool. I thought that was straight. I thought Here's what I would have wanted. No, let me get back to Lex Luthor, and then I'll talk about what I would have wanted for the movie. Jesse Eisenberg isn't playing Lex Luthor. He's playing. It felt like a combination of kind of like the real calculated and thought, like real wise and meticulous Riddler of the Batman comics, combined with the real like socially awkward Joker of the Dark Knight, like a mix, which neither of them have characteristics of Lex Luthor at all, except for maybe the Riddler's real craftiness. I think the Lex Luthor should be a businessman, a really corrupt businessman who has a personal problem with Superman. He did in this movie, which was cool, but just, man, I can't get over the way that they had Jesse. He shouldn't have been cast as Lex Luthor, just straight off the bat. I don't think he fits the character of the comics, and even if you're saying, oh, it's a different interpretation, it's not Lex Luthor. Like I said, there are other characters in the DC universe who Jesse Eisenberg could have pulled off a great performance of, and he was actually cast, like, I forget where this was, but like apparently he was supposed to play Jimmy Olsen in the beginning of the movie. Oh, spoiler, my bad. That's not really a spoiler, nobody cares about Jimmy Olsen. Well, apparently people do, because the fans went nuts when they found out that they killed him in the first whatever the movie. But anyway, I'm not even gonna worry about that spoiler because nobody really cares. Yeah, and they could have made a great Jimmy Olsen. I thought that would have been fine. I wouldn't have had a problem with that. But man, where do you get from telling somebody, oh yeah, you're gonna play Jimmy Olsen, to, oh, you know what, man, screw it, we're gonna have him play Lex Luthor? Just totally left field. And I mean, if it worked, but it didn't work, and I didn't ever think it would. And the trailer showed me what I expected to see, and yeah, but whatever. So lastly, and I didn't want to take too long, here's what I would have wanted for the movie to do, and what I would have wanted to see. I would have wanted to see Batman's setup, which we got, and Superman's setup, because let's be honest, Man of Steel, one of the biggest issues was the fact that it didn't sell the audience on this Superman. Like, we want to feel something for this person. We want to feel something for his relationship with Lois Lane. I almost said Mary Jane. Lois Lane. If that doesn't work, then you don't have, the audience isn't engaged in this hero. He's supposed to be like him and Batman are like the biggest parts of the Justice League, and if one of those two doesn't work, then that's gonna mess up the film. We have yet to get a good solid Superman, and I feel like this film lacked it. And they give you little smidgens of scenes in which we actually get to see more of him and more of what he's feeling, because the whole movie is like moping around. He's either moping around depressed, or he's angry at Batman for being Batman. And so I feel like their conflict wasn't strong enough. Like, when the fight happens, you don't even really buy into it, because you know that it really isn't. It's not what you thought it was gonna be. Like, the reason why they're fighting, their motivations. Batman's motivation is clear, and if you've watched the trailer, you know exactly what his motivation is. But Superman's isn't. I mean, he doesn't even have a motivation for fighting Batman. And the whole fight scene, I mean, it looks nice, but when you get into like what's going on the inside, it's just really a mess. So I would have wanted a better fight scene, and I thought they had a good angle. Batman upset with Superman over the destruction in Metropolis. I thought that was sick. And then Superman not agreeing with Batman's really aggressive way of handling crime. I thought that those conflicting forces and disagreements could have really made a great battle. And for a movie called Batman vs. Superman, like, what the heck? Like, there's not really that much Batman vs. Superman anyway. So take that out and just call it Dawn of Justice, because that's really what it is. It's a Justice League preview, and not very solid. Like I said, I gotta watch it again though, because some of this I'm like, man, I'm kind of being a little too harsh. But when I think about it, I'm reminded of all the things I would have wanted more, and all the things I wanted to see when I went into it that I didn't get. And so I guess it is a less okay movie, because when I'm thinking back to how I actually felt in that theater watching it. I mean, I don't know. I try to get enjoyment out of everything that I do, every movie I go to, even if it sucks. So I'm not gonna come out of a film angry necessarily, but I definitely here's how I gauge it for me. If I come out of a movie wanting more, or wishing things were different, then I know it wasn't a good film. And that's how I felt coming out of this one. So I've heard many different opinions and reviews and thoughts, and so we'll see. I don't know. My opinion might change, and I might end up loving this thing someday. But for now, it's just like each one, man, they just got more and more things they gotta correct. And now the problem now is that you're seeing like Suicide Squad's doing like some reshoots or whatever. They're trying to redo some of the parts of that to lighten the tone. And Warner Brothers put out a trailer for the Lego Batman trailer that Lego Batman movie is not coming out till next year. It's like, okay, like you're not fooling anybody. We know exactly what's going on. Y'all know how bad this thing was, and y'all just trying to get the audience back into it. So I don't know, man. I feel like Warner Brothers does not know what they're doing with the DC Comics universe, and I really wish some really nice, creative people who know how to make good films and good characters and great writing. I just want to see that done. In the same way that, I'm not saying it has to be this way in this tone, but like in the way that Chris Nolan took Batman, who the last we'd seen him was a real comical, just couldn't take him seriously whatsoever, abomination from Batman and Robin, and even both of the Schumacher Batman films, and took that and just made the character so grounded, so realistic. I'm like, why can't we keep doing this? That should have been the launch pad. I'm not saying use that same Batman. I like the Batman in this, but that level of respect for the character, if that could have been applied to Man of Steel, to this movie, man, I really think it could have been really cool. The last thing I'll say is I thought Wonder Woman was really good. I just would have wanted more of her, but then again, I don't know if I want more of her, because that means there would be less, they'd have to take more out or more would be added in. So maybe just scrap Wonder Woman altogether and just let her come in later in her own movie, because they're trying to set her up, but there isn't really any legitimate setup for her. We see a couple scenes of her with a little bit of dialogue, but there isn't much. And when it's time to fight the big battle at the end, she just hops in, and it's like, oh, okay, I guess y'all are a team now. Superman doesn't even know her at all. And, oh yeah, well, I assume Batman knows you, so let's just fight together. You know, what the heck? We got superpowers, let's just do it. So I just thought a lot of, man, that second half of the movie is so lazy. There are so many things with that. So, I don't know. I guess thinking on it now, yeah, I can kind of see. I feel like, yeah, it probably wasn't all that great, but I don't know, man. More power to them, I guess. I hope they do better the next time. And I'm not too excited, I guess, or I don't know. I don't know, man. I wanna enjoy the Justice League movies when they come out, but after seeing what they've done thus far, I'm just not. I don't know. I just feel like they're just gonna keep trying to improve, and they're gonna just keep failing in the aspects that they need to focus on, because they're so busy trying to make people happy that they're not making good movies. That, like, well, man, screw what people think. We'll put in a couple good things for them to see, like, well, the visuals would be on point, and they were. Visuals be on point, we'll pull from the comics, but we're gonna make a great film, and we're not gonna sacrifice any good filmmaking to make these people happy or build up whatever for the next couple movies or whatever. We're just gonna make a great film right now, set up these characters strongly so that we can use this to move on into better things and build up an anticipation in the fan base to see that happen. So yeah, man, my quick thoughts. About 16 minutes, man. Yeah. And so, I don't know, probably no one else really gonna see this at all anyway, so just kind of sharing my thoughts. I might upload this, I might not. But, yeah, man, I hope the next movies will be good. I don't know what to think. I'm still excited about Suicide Squad, so we'll see how that goes and how this whole DC universe ends up doing in film. But in the meantime, I'm gonna be looking forward to my Civil War with my homie, boy. Tom Holland gonna be bringing it. I can't wait. So I got that to look forward to. So I'm not gonna worry about this right now. But yeah, that's it. I'm out. Peace.